open it up for questions for Coach Painter.
Matt, what did you see in your team today that perhaps they hadn't had on the road to this point?
Right. I thought, first of all, we just kind of kept our composure at times more than anything. I thought we just had really good balance. You know, everybody that played, contributed. They might not have played great, but they were good. And we did a lot of good little things. And we continued to play the game, just as it progressed. I thought, we picked the ball up and didn't let them get in transition. We had some timely offensive rebounds there at the end. Evan Boudreaux had some rebounds. But we also had some guys, play better. Isaiah Thompson had a stretch where he scored the ball for us. Aaron Wheeler, had a stretch where he made 3 threes. And, he's really struggled from beyond the arc this year. So that was a great lift for us. But, I could mention everybody on our team. I just thought we got, contributions from everybody and just, really consistent.
Matt, most of that first half was just kind of tight. It seemed like one of those games where first team to make a run was going to have the edge. Did you kind of feel that when that run started happening there?
Yeah, we're just trying to, to execute on the offensive end and then really limit them on the interior. They have a lot of size. So trying to keep them off the glass, but also trying to keep the ball out of the paint. Whether we're playing Indiana or anybody else in our league, if you let people get the ball in the paint a lot, you're going to struggle. And we had times where we struggled. Indiana was getting the ball in there too easy on drives and post-ups and their offensive rebounds. We had some struggles, but when we kept it out of there, we had a lot more success.
Matt, you were obviously aware of what was going on the floor and all the emotion with Coach Knight coming back. Did you talk to your kids about that this place would be full of emotion today?
They were aware of it, but it wasn't something we talked about. I thought it was irrelevant, whether they were doing that or not. The crowd's still going to be loud.
Didn't you also get recruited by Coach Knight?
Yeah.
They recruit you, and you were one of the last ones, and somebody took your place, so you had to go to Purdue.
Yeah, he was smart.
Could you explain that a little bit?
He was smart enough not to offer me. So there's a reason why he won all the games that he did. So, but no, it was different then. We had 15 scholarships versus 13 scholarships, and if you waited, which I did, I was somewhere where my recruiting kind of took off my last year. But things worked out. I'm very fortunate to play for Coach Katie, and he's done a lot for me. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So I'm very, very thankful how things worked out.
Just the way that you guys handled the second half, emotion aside, but just you haven't played with the lead a lot on the road in Big Ten, but just how you did it.
Yeah, that's a great point because we just haven't been in that position. I think the only time this year we've been in that position when we played at Ohio, of actually having a lead, in the second half, and so that's a lot of games. So I thought our guys did a good job, like I said to begin with, just having some poise, continue to execute, continue to, to play hard, and just try to limit them as much as we could. We didn't want Al Durham to get going. He didn't have a first half. He had a couple fouls, but just trying to keep him away from making shots. They had a couple guys come off their bench, make some threes that don't have high percentages, and just didn't feel like those guys could have one of those nights. I thought Al Durham, Finney, Devontae Green, those guys can. They've proven that they can have a night to really carry the load for their team to go along with their front line. So just trying to limit those guys and really talk about respecting their backcourt and respecting those guys and just not letting them get into a rhythm. So once we started to to be able to do that and keep the ball out of the paint, there in the second half we got into a pretty good run. But it also, Isaiah Thompson had a good stretch there for us, and you need that. You need guys coming off your bench, really helping you.
We're going to talk about the three-point shooting. You've been especially good the last 2 games.
Right. Yeah, we really shot well at home. This is great for us to go 8 for 16 on the road because we haven't shot well on the road. We made a couple threes at the end of the Northwestern game when we were fortunate to pull that game out. So it was good. We were hoping that, a couple of those shots could lead to our guys, knocking some stuff down. But, Isaiah and Aaron between them are 5 for 5. So if you want to do something special and win, at a place like Assembly Hall, you got to have some guys step up and be special. And, we were tonight.
Eric said you were more in motion offensively. Have you kind of changed your approach a little bit?
Just when you get against people that, that when you get against good defensive coaches and you run a lot of stuff, sometimes they just sit on it. And so then they just take you out of what you're doing. We just felt like mixing things up here the past 2 or 3 games, still running sets, but mixing in more motion doesn't get them sitting on every single thing. You always have indicators to how you run something. Everybody does it. Like once that indicator kind of happens, the opposing team knows what's coming. So So just trying to be this a little bit more flexible and get into some different actions, but do it out of motion. So hopefully we can catch him by surprise and maybe have better spacing. But nothing major. That was nothing.
You mentioned Aaron, obviously. Just how important has it been just to see him start to find
Right. Well, it's frustrating. He's a guy that was played a really good role for us off the bench last year and helped us win a Big Ten title. And you want to make that next step and play more minutes. And it just hasn't worked for him shooting the basketball this year. So for him he made one other night against Iowa, and that was great to see. So then making 3 today, that was a huge lift. That was a huge lift for our team. So just build confidence. He's a quality player. He's a quality shooter. His numbers don't say so, but I think over the course of time and the course of his career, he'll get this turned around. Hopefully, this is the kind of the game for him this year to get going.
We talked about it before, but to not only have him, starting to find his rhythm, getting Jihad back producing again, getting Evan back doing the things he's doing, just the fact that you're getting more of those pieces, and it's not just a couple of guys that guys who are slumping are getting it right. How important is that to do that right now?
Yeah, I just you look at our team like 9 people played. Lowest score is 5, and the highest score is 12. It's a really good balance. At the other team, what are they supposed to key on? And so I think if you can, we're one of those teams that doesn't have a guy, like a Caleb Swanigan or a Carson Edwards to go to. We have more balance. But you got to have guys being productive. You got to have good numbers at the end of the day. And 25 for 52 and 8 for 16. Those are good numbers for us.
Coach, I know you already mentioned Coach Knight and Coach Katie being on hand today. Really, those guys made this rivalry what it is.
Right.
To have both of them on hand to get the victory with them here today, especially with Coach Katie here.
Right.
How significant is that for your team?
Well, it's cool because Coach Katie comes around and normally has a couple times a year where he travels with us and he's around for 2, 3, 4 games. And so that's for us. That's it's kind of he started for us kind of the blueprint of what we do. And there's no doubt how he coached and what he did was also shaped by Indiana and Coach Knight. If you wanted to win the Big Ten or you wanted to have success in the Big Ten, you had to run through Indiana and Coach Knight. And so, I think anytime you have great coaches like that, Coach Izzo's that way, Bo Ryan's that way. Anytime you have great coaches, they make you better as a coach. And so we learned a lot, obviously, as fans and I learned a lot as a player and a coach, from Coach Katie, being around him, and Coach Knight, being at clinics and things like that. So, we're lucky. I think we're lucky in the state of Indiana to have those 2 guys and what they brought to their institutions and what they brought to the Big Ten Conference.
Coach, in the second half, you had that 7-point run, got back within 6. Did the confidence get shaky at all at that point?
I don't think confidence. I think we allowed the ball in the paint too much. And I think anytime you let Indiana get the basketball in the paint, they're more effective. So I think we had to do a better job of taking care of the ball. We had a couple careless turnovers. One was kind of a poor decision. One was kind of a poor shot. And then they were able to score the basketball. So I think we just had to kind of just regroup and talk about that. And then we had a good offensive possession, after that, and that really helped us.
Or can you talk about Boudreaux a little bit, being able to end that run and then just having the momentum that he carried in throughout the rest of the game?
When he subbed back in the second half, he did a great job of doubling the post. We weren't quick to it before that. We were missing some simple post-ups that they were getting, and for whatever reason, we weren't getting good double teams. So we wanted to double anytime those guys caught it in the post, especially Trace Jackson Davis, and not let him get going. But his 2 offensive rebounds was huge. That pushed the game away. Now they get stops, and now instead of getting the ball and getting in transition, he's getting the ball. He throws one out to Sasha, and Sasha ends up getting fouled, and I forget what happened on the other one. But being able to get stops when you're down 10 and then not be able to get the rebound, that really hurts. And so those are huge plays by him. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Too much for